Mr Chair, I rise to speak on part one, and it's a delight to actually stand to speak in favour of this bill. It is a positive contribution to this House, and we don't always, from this side of the House, get to commend the government on making a good step forward. It happens rarely, but it's great that actually here we are debating a piece of legislation that takes the country forward through criminalising breaches in directors' duties. Now, none of this detracts from what Claire Curran said. Why has it taken so long? The fundamental point she made in her speech is worth repeating. But here we are passing a bill that will help to level the playing field. It's the dishonest practice.
Point of order, Sue Moroney.
Mr Chair, I'm reluctant to actually stop my colleague while he's in the middle of his contribution on this. But I know it's after the dinner break, and I'm not sure what the...
Order. If the member's making a point of order,
yes,
she should make the point of order and not comment on dinner or any other reason. Points of order should be made tersely.
Well, my very terse point of order is that I can barely hear my colleagues speak, and there are members opposite who have moved their seats in order to try and barrack at speakers on this bill. And I don't know what they partook in during the dinner break. They need to actually stop.
Order. Now, I've cautioned the member, and the member deliberately... So I'm going to require an apology to the chair before I do anything else.
I apologise to the chair.
Right. No, I'm not taking any more, and the barracking was too much, so the point of order is upheld. David Clark.
Well, thank you, Mr Chair. As I was saying, I was congratulating the government on its good behaviour, and unfortunately they've let themselves down, as your point of order has rightly ruled. But here is the government actually dealing with criminalisation of breaches of certain directors' duties, and actually making a law that helps to level the playing field a little bit, step by precious step, and it's true this has taken many years to get to this point in the Parliament, but here they are describing what penalties should apply with bad faith, where directors knowingly act in a way that results in serious loss to a company, or the incurring of debt and fraudulent, dishonest behaviour, and so on. And we know that this kind of legislation is incredibly important in our democracy. If we wish to have a functioning democracy where businesses can flourish, where people who work hard and have talent can get ahead, then we do need a level playing field. We need a set of useful regulation, because it is certainly true that where there is good regulation, markets can prosper and make good decisions. Where there is poor regulation or a lack of oversight, very poor outcomes can come into play. And we're lucky that we continue to enjoy a reputation broadly in New Zealand as a country that has a transparent and robust democracy, a long and proud history of democracy. Of course, those things are under threat all the time, and we must be wary, and it is very good that the court has found the Honourable Member, or formerly Honourable Member John Banks, guilty, because we've seen an important judicial process take place, and we have a robust judicial system that can actually say when something is wrong. Now, there are other things that don't get across that line. There are decisions made in this House that we might find ethically repugnant, that end up making life more difficult for many people, and we can all think of our own examples of those. But here we are, debating a positive piece of legislation, a piece of legislation that will actually improve the lot overall of New Zealand, and improve the health and the atmosphere in which our institutions, our businesses can flourish. There are, of course, many other things which don't find their way into this, into Part 1 of the Act, or into the Act at all. Other things that would help to make our environment flourish, and mention in passing pro-growth tax reform, the kind of research and development tax credits that Labor would like to see introduced. A capital gains tax that would see money move away from the speculative housing sector into the productive sector and actually increase the exports. We'd like to see a growing economy, and this government seems reluctant to grow the economy where it will put at risk the interests of the wealthiest few. and we know that the interests of the 1% that are at the very top are growing all the time, that we have the largest gap between rich and poor that we've ever had, and that the majority of New Zealand citizens are going backwards, that the median wages have dropped in real terms under their watch, and there is no doubt that this is the government with the worst economic record in 50 years. So it is, therefore, a pleasure to get up and at least support one piece of legislation which makes a small step in the right direction that has taken a long time to get here, but we certainly welcome it on this side of the House. We do want a more positive New Zealand, one where New Zealand families can hope to own a company one day, to build up from perhaps owning a small business, starting themselves out, saving, working hard, registering a company, and all of these things. 7A of the Act on Part 1, Clause 7A, covers the nature of application for a registration of a company. Mr Chair.
Mark Mitchell.
I move that the question be now put.
Question is that the question be now put. Those of that opinion will say aye. Contrary, no. The ayes have it. So there is an amendment. So we'll put the Minister's amendment set out on SOP number 465. Question is that the Minister's amendments be agreed to. Those of that opinion will say aye. Contrary, no. The ayes have it. The question is that Part 1, as amended, stand part. Those of that opinion will say aye. Contrary, no. The ayes have it. Question now is that Part 2 stand part.
Mr Chair.
Dr David Clark.
Thank you, Mr Chair. The amendments to the limited partnership